Just when you thought a day was going to go by and we weren't going to have more of our money nicked. She's done it again. Word on the street is Rachel Reeves is going to tax another avenue, and this time it is landlords on their rental income, which is ironic because she earns £74,000 a year from her rental income. So you can bet your bottom dollar that whatever threshold it is, it'll just about cover her ass. But what she's going to do is put in some way a levy on rental income. So that could be through national insurance, VAT, or having a separate tax band for rental income. Now, obviously, there's going to be people that turn around and go, well, if you can afford a second house to rent it out, then you can afford the income. We've had it with VAT on education. It's not going to be the truth, is it? I mean, that's a nice, easy, just bat it back and let's ignore it. But that's not going to be the truth. But I want to go the other end of the scale on this, a bit like with VAT on education. I wanted to look at the kids. With the rental income, let's look at who lives in these houses. The tenant. So if you're renting a house, there's many reasons why you may be renting a house, but one of them I doubt is the fact that you've got tens of thousands of pounds in your back pocket that you just don't want to spend on a mortgage, or that you could spend on increased rent. You know, it's unlikely, isn't it? There will of course be the anomaly somewhere, but generally if you're renting a house, it's because it meets your needs, and your needs are thus, and you haven't got onto the property ladder, which is for a lot of people, I mean, who can get on the property ladder these days, but it is just a different way of living, and it's not one where people are absolutely wedged. Now, if there's going to be a levy on the landlord's income, where do we think we're going to get that from? It doesn't take a rocket scientist, and particularly when mortgage rates have gone up so much. So most landlords are just about breaking even, if at all they are breaking even, because it's almost more, well, it's definitely more expensive now to have a mortgage than it is to rent. So it's very difficult to make those two meet anyway. But then we've got on top of that the added pressure of all the other taxes that they've got to pay, and now we're going to add another one. And it's like she thinks nobody will notice. It'll be fine. We'll just shoehorn it in. And this actually terrifies me as much as VAT on education, because if you look at who this affects, this is more or less every sector of society yet again. Now, Keir Starmer has sort of tried to get around not breaking the manifesto pledge because he pledged not to raise taxes for working people, even though he's raised taxes for working people. So of course, you know, the idea being that if you are a landlord and you have a rental income, you're not a working person, you don't go to work. He also defines a working person as not having savings. I mean, that's really easy. We're all working people, Keir. Well done. You did that one. So I have a massive issue with that. I have a huge issue with that because, of course, there are so many people in the country who cannot, for many reasons, go to work. So carers are one. If you are a full-time carer for somebody, you are unable to go and get a job. And I mean, you could live on the measly pittance that you get from the government to be a carer, or you could actually want to have an income of your own. Now, for a lot of people, that could be in property. Now, what's wrong with that? Why can they not earn an income? Why can they not contribute to the economy? Why can they not find a different way to do it, and that different way being a property? We've spoken over and over about how I have a holiday home. That holiday home is not because I'm loaded. It's not because I've got 78 houses and I just felt like it. Barclays own my property, my holiday home, and it's to give me an income so that I don't have to have benefits for my children. And it was also sort of to give me a pension because I don't have an actual job that would give me a pension. But now that's looking like it's going tits up because my mortgage went up twice and nobody's got any money to go on holiday, and all the associated costs with having a holiday home have gone up. So it's flatlining. But of course, can I sell it? Well, everyone else where I've got my holiday home seems to be selling it. So the market is saturated, but nobody's buying. Why is nobody buying? Well, no one's got any money. And if you have a look at this now, landlords who can't afford their mortgage and can't put their rents up anymore, so therefore aren't going to break even, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to sell their houses. So we're either going to have a massive crash in the property market because there's so many houses going on the market, or we're going to have people in negative equity, which is nothing really to do with the rents. But if their rents were just about covering the mortgage and now they've got to hike them up and the tenant doesn't have any more money to hike them up, I mean, we're not looking at the money tree. On Gardener's World, they don't have a section jobs for the weekend, water your money tree, do they? It's just not a thing. There is no money left in people's pockets to cover this shit. But yet they keep coming out with it. They keep looking at another way to raise taxes and hope that you and I won't notice because they're the Labour Party. But they raise taxes. It's all they do. So now we're putting national insurance or VAT or a separate tax brand. Now, VAT on education hasn't gone down so well, has it? Because again, if we look at that, VAT on education was sold to us that the parents would be able to afford it and the schools didn't have to pass the VAT on. Apart from the fact that what Rachel Reeves hadn't worked out was when she put national insurance on at the same time, she said school fees wouldn't go up. In some places, they've gone up 226%. Now, Rach, that's a lot. That's not a lot, that's a lot. You don't need to have maths GCSE to know that that's a lot. That's a lot. You clearly have a problem with either seeing reality or understanding numbers. So, of course, school's going to go pop. Of course, kids are going to have to leave. Of course, it will lead to the implosion of private schools, which is what you wanted. I mean, that was the end goal. So well done, you've achieved that, but you haven't raised any money from it. In fact, you've cost money. You've cost the state money from doing this. This little experiment where our children were lab rats, well, that has cost the state money. So now we're going to make families lab rats. We're going to make people who rent houses lab rats, because there is no way that we can just keep putting up the cost of existence and now adding it onto the rental market. Where do you think these people are going to get the money from? There is no money. But she thinks it's a good idea because she's Rachel Reeves and she has got absolutely no idea. When she looks through her VR headset, the world is rosy, everything is great. Everyone's back pockets are literally teeming with money. It brings back Harry Anfield, loads of money. Yeah. So in her VR headset, everything is good. In our actual real world, it's the straw that has broken the camel's back. Well, it's not actually. That was like 10 months ago. But you know what I'm saying. There's just nothing left. And they keep punishing us. It's like we've done something really wrong. It's like existing and wanting to have aspiration and wanting to have a bit of money in our back pocket and wanting to be able to afford the weekly shop and possibly go out for a drink. You know, it's like we're not allowed to do that. It's like we've been really, really naughty in a past life and Labour are here just to punish us, and they're just going to keep punishing us until we can take no more. And I feel like we're already there. I feel like the nation's there. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't a fan of the last lot, if I'm totally honest with you. I wasn't their biggest supporter either, but my God, this lot are taking Lowe's to a whole new level. So check that out. It's all over social media. It's in the papers. It's in the press. It's going to be a big story soon. And what will be really interesting is how the Labour Party members respond to this. Because at the top of the tree, we've got Kieran, Rach and Bridge and Ange. Ange is less tone deaf, I think, but the others are completely tone deaf. You know, Bridget is off wrecking education and families, so she's sort of slightly busy doing that. So the spotlight is going to be on these two. Keir's trying to get all the reform voters by saying things about immigration that he has no understanding of. And Rachel, somebody send her a Casio calculator and then how to use it with the instructions. That would be amazing. I put my head in my hands. I mean, I literally put my head in my hands, and I don't know where this is going to end. I think I do know where this is going to end. And I'm really hoping it happens really quick. It starts with snap and ends with election. You can put vote of no confidence in there as well if you want to. I mean, fill the gaps however you like. It's like the weekend crossword. I don't really care how we get there, but I feel like that's the only thing for it.